Alrighty, Thursday, April 11th. We are jumping into a session recap here. I want to start off with ES. ES, some decent action today. NQ definitely has had the better setup for the duration of the week, but we still had some decent opportunities here within ES. So price coming into the regular trading hours open, coming into PPI, was trading down through that prior day low, down near that CPI low right through here. Let's take a look at the 15-minute actually. So we have price right near the CPI low coming into PPI. It actually undercuts a bit there. You get the push higher. Now this is significant because price really fails to break that prior day high. Looking at the regular trading hours prior day high, while NQ actually did manage to break the prior day high. So you want to be paying attention to the differences between the two indices if you are going to be, looking at trading either or maybe both. You want to be, kind of comparing the location of both, how that daily setup looks, and then how price is responding to certain news events, certain data events, and then the location from that event. So in this case, we have ES still within the prior day range, coming into essentially what was the prior day high, right? You got this explosive move on the back of PPI. Price rolls over, retests that key 51.85, 51.92 area. That was our key area from yesterday. That worked so nicely. So we have a retest of support, and from there, the bounce is on, right? So we have a strong bounce here. Take a look at this. Strong bounce back into session highs, reclaiming some key areas of resistance. That 52.10 level of interest was a area of resistance earlier in the session. That has been the daily time frame volume point of control. Let's see if it still is. Yeah, I still have the volume point of control right near there. It's now a little lower, 52.05 for that year-to-date volume point of control. But we can see how well price respected that 52.10 area here both this morning and then later in the morning, early afternoon. So resistance now becomes support. Okay, really good sign. You have the bond auction here, and this pretty much ignites the move higher. Take a look at the structure. Price is now back within essentially that early in the week range, right? We were looking at Friday's action here, and then Monday you have that very tight inside day. So price is just back here into this week's volume point of control, trading within a wide range here for the past week or so. And so what we want to see for tomorrow, remember this previous attempts in this area, as this kind of red shaded box shows, were in control by sellers, right? So previous attempts here sold off. What we want to see for tomorrow is how price responds not only to this week's volume point of control right through here, 5255, but this near-term resistance area, 5272 area. Treat this like a zone, 5270 by essentially 5275, right? Now, once you are, if you're grabbing longs down through here, maybe even up through session highs, you find some type of entry, that's all well and good. We want to be really cautious with longs in this area, right? Ideally, what I like to see is a break of that area, a retest, and then you have some confirmation that that resistance is now becoming support. That makes for a much easier trade. So ES, the setup in NQ is a little bit better. I'm going to be continuing to focus on NQ, but if you are looking at ES, you want to be looking at 52.55 and then that 52.70. So we'll see what the overnight action looks like here on ES, and then share any updates as needed with the pre-market prep. Well, that's about it for ES. Overall, really good action, right? Really good action versus that key area of support. Action like this is just a reminder to never short in the hole, never short support. You have the 50 MA right through there, and then daily time frame support right through here. Now, it's not the cleanest setup when we compare it to NQ, and this is why my focus has been on NQ. Look how much cleaner this area of support is. It's much easier to define the support level right through here, 18,055, 1805, right through here. Very clear, right? You have multiple attempts or multiple holds of price testing and actually bouncing versus that area of support, going back as late as or as early as late February, right? So NQ, QQQ continues to trade within what could be considered just a 2-month range, right? Sideways range right through here. Best opportunities when you are trading within a range, as always, are near the edges of the range, which is why we've seen such explosive action versus this area of support. Market participants find that the market is undervalued when it gets down into here, and they want to trade it higher, or they want to buy for a return to value, which is going to be the volume point of control. Now price is coming up into almost into all-time highs, right? Just shy of that range high, just shy of the 52-week high at this point. We're within 200 points, which may sound like a lot, but that's less than one ATR. We're less than one ATR away from all-time highs, fresh all-time highs on NQ. So that is definitely notable. Let's look at the actual action here. So we come into the session, and this was the key distinction here on NQ. The fact that NQ was not actually trading down through that CPI low this morning. That was kind of the main clue we had talked about during the pre-market prep live stream, and the reason I was going to continue to focus primarily on NQ. That was a significant sign of strength on the part of NQ. Meanwhile, we had ES, down into that CPI low, down even through that CPI low there briefly. Not the case on NQ. So NQ, you have a retest down into 18,125, that downside level of interest. Could see how well that level worked yesterday, right? So this is not only a significant level in the near term, but remember, context is so important when we're trading. Where is price in location to the big picture? And it's into that daily support zone. So does it make sense to really be shorting into a big area of support? Maybe if you want to scalp, right? You could get away with a scalp. You could pretty much scalp anything. But as far as, a high probability big trade setup, you want to be focusing on longs when price is coming into that support zone, right? So we have PPI. You get that initial lift off of support up and through prior day high, right? Another key distinction there from ES, up and through prior day high. So that's significant. And then from there, what I had mentioned, I went live again just a few minutes before the open. I don't know if you guys caught that or not, but went live at anytime we have data. I like to kind of provide another update, and usually it's easier just to go live again rather than typing it all out. But look at where price was, right? Following PPI. You're right through here, right through a prior area of support. We can expect that that prior area of support is going to at least briefly hold as resistance. So following this explosive move, do you really want to be chasing longs off the open? Is that the wisest decision, right? So we know there's some buyers that are interested now, but probability kind of favors a little bit of a rollover off of the open, right? Just based on location. And then from there, what we can do is we can look for an area to actually start establishing some longs. So a great way to do that is to look at, Fibonacci retracement. Generally speaking, that 50 to 61% is going to be considered the buy zone, Fibonacci buy zone, as I like to personally call it. So you could see price pulls back right through here, right between that 50 and 61%. Now, what else is this low right through here? It's the prior day volume point of control, right? That's always going to be a significant level for the current session. So you could see a gap higher, Consolidation, right? You can fire off some scalps in there if you're nimble with it, but price ultimately rolls over, closes the gap, closes that overnight gap higher. There's a regular trading hours chart. Test prior day volume point of control almost exactly to the tick, and that marks the low for the session. So that we continue to see that prior day volume point of control is always going to be a significant level for the current trading session. So make sure you're keeping an eye on that area, at least as a reference point. That's always going to be solid. So that sets up the high conviction long, right? We have a 15-minute hammer. The gap is now filled. We retest that prior day volume point of control. We're in the Fibonacci buy zone. Okay, the odds are stacked in favor of another leg higher, at the very least a retest of session highs. And so what you can see is price does retest session highs. Clearly some sellers step in, right? Look at the wicks on those 15-minute candles. So you take the long off into highs. We watch for a potential breakout, right? Price breaks out, and then textbook, look at the retest, right? So you get the break above, most likely going to miss this trade unless you're trading breakouts in the index, which is not a good thing to be doing. So just pass on this trade. That's what I do anyway. Pass on that initial breakout. Watch for the retest. And remember the significance of this area. Just look to the left on the chart. All through here, right? Exactly where we talked about in the morning. That was prior support, became resistance this morning. You get the break above. Retest, holds as support. Bond auction really rips this thing up and through that near-term resistance. So NQ is now trading on highs for the week. Let's take a look at the weekly candle. Hopefully that recap is helpful. Kind of long-winded, but context can really help out. NQ now trading on highs for the week. So the question for tomorrow is simply, whether buyers can show a continuation of this move. That's all I'll be looking to assess. Ideally, buyers can defend this 400 area, right? That's going to be the main objective here. Let me switch this to an hourly chart so we get a cleaner idea of what we're looking at. So buyers will be looking to defend this 18,400. The main concern that we need to have here if we're thinking long is the fact that this technically is still a series of lower highs, right? There's a decent chance that price could roll over here. So that's one of the primary things I'll be looking at. I do like to see 400 holding. Ideally, I would like to see price up through 560. I'll have a specific focus on this level right through here. So could definitely be a slower day tomorrow considering the amount of volatility we've had this week. I would not be surprised to see some compression. Remember, anytime we have these big trend day moves, these big expansion moves, it's not unusual to see that volatility compression move. So an inside day for tomorrow definitely is not out of question. Would not surprise me whatsoever. But as far as how to approach the sesh, we want to keep an eye on 18,400 and then 18,500 as well will be a decent reference point, essentially today's high. So that's NQ. Hope everyone had a good session, profitable session. If you have any questions, feel free to shoot me a DM in the Traders Think Tank. Otherwise, I'll see you tomorrow morning for the pre-market prep live stream. Have a good afternoon.